Hello, knitting friends. How are you? Welcome to the 3 a.m. Knitter podcast. It's Sunday, April the 9th, and my name is Anne. I'm coming to you today from the North Shore of Nova Scotia in a small town called Pictou. Happy to see you here. I was enjoying my peppermint tea out of my beautiful new tea mug, which I'll tell you about a little later. So before we get rolling, let's get a little bit of housekeeping out of the way. You can find me on Instagram as 3am knitter. My email address is 3amknitter@gmail.com. And if you need to have my shipping address, as some of you have asked for, it'll be down below in the show notes for all things snail mail. And something new that I've just launched is a new Patreon page. So this is for those of you who have reached out to me and have asked how you can support the podcast. Excuse me. I have created a Patreon page. I'll put the link down below in the show notes, of course. And there are 3 levels of support. There is the cast on level, the garter stitch level, and the color work level. So if you're interested in supporting the podcast, please check out the Patreon page. And I am ever so grateful to all of you, whether you become a patron or not. I'm just happy to be here sharing my love of this craft with you. Okay, so let's get rolling. All right, we'll start with what I'm wearing. Now, I talked about this the last podcast. I pulled this scarf, super duper long scarf, out of Whip Mountain, and there was nothing that needed to be done to it. So I'm not quite sure why it was in Whip Mountain. However, I did give it a soak to freshen it up, pinned it out, and I now have this nice long scarf. It does have ever so slight texture in it. I think you can see here. So it's kind of got like a garter ridge, kind of bumps in amongst the stockinette. So it's kind of hard to see in the color work, but it does have just a nice little texture. Now, of course, I don't have a project page for this in Ravelry, bad knitter. However, I have narrowed it down to what I believe is the yarn that I used for this. So as you know, I am a wildly passionate supporter of Canadian makers and dyers and crafters and all of that kind of thing. And so this, once again, is from one of my favorite dyers, Songbird Yarn and Fibres out of Stratford, Ontario. This is, I think, the 80/20 superwash sock in the belted kingfisher colorway. Actually, let me turn it that way. Does that take a bit of the glare out? Yeah. So I think I had this in my stash. I think that's the closest that I can figure out that matches the color. So once again, you can't go wrong with a Songbird Fibres yarn. It's incredibly soft, and I will enjoy wearing this, you know, just as I have it now, just kind of as a wraparound scarf, or even wrapping it around a few more times when the temperatures are cooler and I need something up, you know, around my neck. So that is the mystery scarf, I call it, because I don't know what the pattern is. If I find it, I'll post it on my Instagram, but I looked and I really can't narrow it down. So anyway, bad Ravelry person. What can I tell you? Yeah. Got to get better at doing that so I remember things. You know, as I get older and older, I forget. You know when you're sitting there and you think, oh, I'll remember it. I'm not going to write it down. Yeah, no, I never remember. So anyhow, there it is. All right, so on to my current works in progress. So I have a couple that I want to share with you. The first one, as I mentioned last time we chatted, is part of the knit along that my LYS, Natural Ewe Yarns, is hosting. And I am knitting the Aster Tee. Let's see. Did I bring it up here? Yes, I did. Look at me. And that's by Megan Nodecker of Pip Pin. Excuse me. All right, this is just loading here, so bear with me just one. So this is a bottom-up construction, and this is the color work at the top. So nice little short sleeves. Look at that color work. Isn't that cool? So the color work I'm doing is done with minis. And she's, she gives you a really great measurement and yardage page in the pattern. So I have, where's my needles? There they are. I've got myself underway with this. It asks for just a small amount of ribbing, and then I'm doing the good old boring stockinette stitch piece of it. The pattern calls for about 13 inches, I think. I'll adjust, for my size. And then once you get up to the top, you get into the fun part, which is the color work. Now, this yarn I purchased from my LYS, Natural Ewe Yarns. It is in the Morning Fog colorway. So it's not a really good representation. Hang on just a sec. It's a gray, taupey gray, but you see it's got these really nice, subtle colors kind of modeled in. See that? There, that's a good representation. So I'm really hoping that this carries right through the body, which I'm quite certain it will. There's no rhyme nor reason to it. It's not a pooling thing. It's just the color in the yarn. Whoops. Yeah. So my original thought when I started this project was I dug through that massive bag of minis that I had, and my original thought was to do the color work in purples. I know, I'm not that purple person, but this is kind of what I had in mind, in no particular order. But now that I've knit up some of the body and I'm seeing the subtle colors in the stockinette, I'm thinking, because these are more on the earthy tone end, that I might change the color work to more yellows and greens and browns. Because now that I'm seeing this fabric, I'm not certain that the purples will make sense. I don't feel that they'll translate well once I've got the body knit. So I'm keeping the purples in my project bag for now, but I am going to dig around and see if I can find some more earthy tones. I think that will fit better. Perhaps I've got a lot of greens and yellows in that big bag of minis. So I'm going to pull some of those out. I'll post on Instagram about it and maybe put up a poll, and you guys can go and, take a look and give me your feedback, because something's just telling me to move away from the purples. And I know I should go with my gut, but you know how these things are, right? So that's the Aster Tee. Many people that are participating in the knit along, and there's still time for you to jump in if you're interested. I'll post the link down below. Lots of different colorways being shown, and a lot of people chose this particular pattern. I guess because the warm weather's on its way, maybe, yeah. So give me your feedback when you see the post about that, and we can chat. Okay. My next whip. So this, this is a new, 3 a.m. knitter sock pattern that I am designing. and I'm just test knitting it myself now before I get ready to send it out to test knitters. So this is a cuff down sock called the Open My Heart socks. And I am testing it using Patons Kroy sock, which is just a great, affordable, kind of workhorse sock yarn, I think. And you can get it anywhere. So it's 4-ply, 75% washable wool and 25% nylon. These balls are 50-gram balls or 1 3/4 ounce balls. And the yardage, come on, there it is, 175 meters or 192 yards. So this colorway is flax, and it's a little lighter than what you're seeing on the screen there. The color number is 54011, and again, the name is flax. So, you know, you can get this yarn anywhere, which is great, and it is a great yarn. Now, it feels, in hand, it feels a little rough, but I know from past experience that this will soften up once you wash and block it. So this is the Open My Heart socks. It is a cuff down heel flap and gusset. Magic loop is my preference, but of course, if you wanted to do it on DPNs, you could. But really, I'm writing it for magic loops. So if you are a little bit more experienced in sock knitting, you could easily, you know, do it in DPNs. So just to give you a little teaser, there is the first motif that's on the front of the sock. And then this motif will be repeated, and then on the back, there's a little heart on the back as well. So I should have my testing done probably by the end of the weekend or early this week coming. And then I will be sending out a call for test knitters. Now, things you need to know about this particular pattern. In my opinion, this is not for somebody who has never knit socks before. There's a lot of pattern following, if you understand what I mean. And because there's stuff going on both sides, I think that this is best for, let's say, an adventurous beginner at the minimum, okay? You need, of course, to know how to do your ribbing, how to cast on with a loose cast on. When it comes to the patterning in the sock, it includes slip knit and pass yarn over, knit two together, double yarn overs. So you'll need to know how to knit through double yarn overs, knitting through the back loop, those kinds of skills. So if that sounds like something that you would be interested in testing, I would love to have you test the pattern. This is going to be offered in 3 sizes, 60 stitches, 60, 68, and 72, if I remember correctly. I didn't bring my book up, but so this will be out for testing in the next week. So if you're interested in participating in the test knit, DM me on Instagram or email me, something like that. Get a hold of me somehow. Don't just put it down in the comments. Make sure you contact me some other way. I have some pretty tight timelines for this, so keep that in mind. And as of this moment, I am not able to pay test knitters, but I do provide lots of perks. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know. So this is the Open My Heart socks. Okay, here we go. All right. And then finally I have one more WIP, and I know, I don't know what I'm doing to myself starting all these projects, but for a long time, I have been following the people who have knitted up the Safe at Home blanket. Now, I'm sure you've heard of this. It was a big, big thing during the pandemic. And let me see if I can just quickly find you a pic. I'm sure that you have seen this. Oh. Huh. Oh, there it is. Jeez. Let me just make that bigger. So it's, come on, Ravelry, any day now. This one. I'm sure you've seen this, the Safe at Home blanket. Very, very popular during the pandemic. Many, many people knit it up. I've been fascinated by this pattern. So I even went so far as to run out, you know, a year or two ago to my local Michael's and buy a whole bunch of different colored yarn to knit this up, because I wanted it to be one of those blankets that, you know, sits on the back porch, you know, just cover yourself up while you're sitting outside having a cup of tea or something like that. I wanted it just to be kind of a warm and cuddly blanket. And then I never cast it on. So I've been looking and looking and looking and following the people that are knitting this, and came across a Facebook group for a knit along of that blanket, and saw in this group that people were knitting all these other patterns by this designer. And I thought, oh, this intrigues me. And I fell in love with them all. So although I don't very, very often do this, I bought the book. And it is by Margaret Holzman. She is the creator of that pattern. And it's the Safe at Home book. Blankets to celebrate our favorite things. So that there is the Safe at Home blanket. Isn't it nice? This book includes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different patterns. So on the back, you can see there's this fish one here, flower, hour, that's dogs, punch buggies. That's the city at night. See the little stars and the moon there? Isn't that something else? Cats. And then this one is, I think it's called By the Sea. Look at that. Ooh. Anyway, so I ran upstairs as soon as this arrived. I ordered it from the US. So, you know, it was a little spendy. But I opened the book and I saw this flower show, not flower hour, flower show pattern. And I went, yep, that's the one I'm starting with. And so I ran upstairs into my room, and I pulled all of the yarn that I had purchased for the original blanket. And I, over the weekend, cast on it and knit up a square so I could read and understand the pattern. So here is my first square. So basically what I've decided is, I don't know if you can see, that's like a royal purple. The construction of this, and you know, of course it's paid pattern, so I'm not going to give away the construction, but the construction of these squares is so fun. You know, obviously it's all garter, right? But the construction is like nothing I've seen before, and I knit a lot. So fun. So I'm basically just going to use up everything I have in my stash and knit up this first of a few blankets out of this book that I'm going to make. Now, the beauty of these types of patterns is that they're meant to be all different colors, right? Like, look at that. So in this particular pattern, Flower Show, Margaret gives you, oh look, I got all my sticky notes on here already. Margaret gives you 3 different color stories, right, for the same pattern. So you can see you've got summertime there, succulent, sorry, I'm reading backwards, and sprig bouquet. So it all depends on the colors you have in your stash or the colors you're going to buy. That will, like there's examples. So she even gives you the layout examples, right? Depending on the color kind of story that you've chosen. There's the punch buggies. Isn't that neat? Especially if you have one or you know somebody who has that kind of card. And then the cat, more than a feline. Come on. Look at that. I just love this. That's the cat one. More than a feline, just cracks me up. This one I am absolutely in love with. I just didn't have, look at this. I didn't have sufficient blue to start it. So I may start this one next if I can source maybe some secondhand yarn to do the sea. That's called Oceanfront, which is, kind of perfect for where I live. And then we have the Safe at Home, which is the one that so many people knit up during the pandemic. And the book is just, oh, Safe in the City. The instructions in the book are second to none. She gives beautiful diagrams, beautiful pictures, very clear instructions. Look at that, the fish. What does she call this one? Something fishy. Ah, I love it. And then finally, the last pattern. Actually, here's a close-up of the fish. Right? Isn't that cool? The last pattern, or is that? Oh no. Then we've got Stay Positive, the dogs. That's cute. Whoops. Great stash busting patterns for you. If you want to make clothes, she gives you information on that. Make pillows. All of the abbreviations and glossary are included, of course. And the best part, I mean, well, maybe not the best part, but one of the things that really caught my attention is there's a QR code at the back of the book. And if you follow that QR code, it takes you to videos of all of the techniques. So if you're stumped on anything, and like me, a very visual learner, you can just go to the YouTube video for that particular pattern, and it's right there. So just brilliant. So again, Safe at Home book. I don't often buy books, so this was amazing. Now, the next amazing piece about me buying this book is that when it arrived, it was beautifully wrapped. It had a sticker on the front with a little coupon code so I could purchase an additional pattern that isn't included in the book from Revelry. So I did do that. I helped myself to that particular offer, and my best knitting friend Lyanne purchased herself a secondhand little camper, and so I found this pattern of these little campers. Isn't that cute? So I thought, what a great gift that would be for Lyanne to have me knit up this camper Afghan for her that she can keep in the camper. So yeah, so I was very pleased with that purchase. And I've already started, you know, going through stash thinking, okay, I've got enough for this one. I've got enough for this one, that kind of thing. So I may just get through my stash yet. Okay, so that's it for works in progress. Finished objects, I got none. Actually, no, that's not true. She says with a smile. Let me just close this and this and this. Close a few things down. There we go. All right. So you may recall on the last episode, I had pulled something out of Whip Mountain, and once again said that I was ashamed of myself. So I'm happy to report that the dishcloth is done. Yes, I wove in the ends. That's all that had to be done. I wove in the ends and I put it down in the kitchen so I could use it. So that's my only finished object. Next time we come together for the podcast, there will be a few other finished objects, but today, that's all I got. So there it is. All right, I want to talk to you about Whip Mountain. So many moons ago, I had dreams of making this. Many of you may remember this particular scarf, the potato chip scarf. This one here, right? As you knit it, it just curls itself. Oh, look at that little puppy there. And it, you know, it just wraps around. Okay. So I started one. Here it is. Yeah. Again, I don't have a project page for this. So I don't know how old it is. I obviously needed the needle because I put everything on a stitch holder. So here it is. Oops, oh, I'm all tangled in the yarn here. Here it is here. Yeah, you know what? That's not bad. I don't know. Anyway, I really should finish it. I'm using, I don't know what this yarn is, because of course I didn't keep the tag in here, but it looks like matching mohair. It's very pretty, very springy. It's a little paler, I think, than what you're seeing. So I think I'll finish this up. It's not a, so I just dropped it on the floor. It's not a difficult knit. Let me just put this down. You know, it's just garter with a, oops, can you see that? Yeah, I think it's a free pattern on Ravelry. Let me just get to the pattern details. Yep, available for free. Oh, published in Ocean Waves Quilts. The potato chip scarf is by Barbara Aguiar. Sorry, Barbara, if I've butchered your name. It says yarn weight worsted, but really something like this. I think you could do it in anything that has a little bit of substance. I don't know that it would work in like a lace weight. I don't know, it mightn't hold its shape, but needle size suggested as either 9, 10, or 11, which is US sizes, or 5, 5.5, 6, or 8 millimeter needles. Yardage is 200 yards or 183 meters. Needle size, 2 sizes bigger than recommended on a ball band is a good place to start. Okay. Tons of projects done, 1,012 projects. worsted weight, they say, available for free. It takes you out of Ravelry to the Ocean Waves Quilts blog site or website where you can get the pattern for free. So I think this is called the potato chip scarf because you can't make just one. Well, clearly that didn't apply to me. I haven't had any time for sewing, but some mindless knitting was done while riding in the car. This is a super easy pattern that can be done while watching TV. 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. That's the pattern, 4 rows, and you just you repeat the 4 rows until the end. Oh my gosh. This scarf can look so different depending on the yarn that you use. A lightweight fancy yarn will make a gorgeous dressy scarf. First gift for next year. Enjoy, and if you make one, please send me pictures, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so free pattern. I think I'll finish it. What do you think? It might not, you know, I know it might not be in style, but really it's a scarf, right? It's got some weight to it. I don't know. What do you think? Yeah? Should I finish it? Let me know what you think. It's very soft, and it'll get softer, I think, once I wash it and block it out, but yay or nay? Give me a yay or nay about the potato chip scarf. Let me know what you think that I should do with it. I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Now, the next thing. I am enamored when I get catalogs in the mail. And so I still get the Knit Picks catalog. I know I can go to the website and I can check out everything that's there, but there's just something about getting this in the mail that really brings on my creativity, and I have an excuse to sit with my tea and go through it and check out projects, things like that. But in this one here, this is the April 2023 catalog. There was one pattern that really caught my eye. It's this one here on page number 17 of the catalog, and it's called Wild Dunes. Wild Dunes. And Knit Picks has knitted in Lindy chain yarn, and the yarn costs start at $31.96. So that's US dollars. So of course I went on a hunt for it here on Ravelry. So there is, so it's a tunic style, see, tunic style top, short sleeve. I love anything asymmetrical. It's got a kind of a lower scoop back and a little bit of drop stitches throughout the fabric. I wear a lot of yoga pants, so you know this type of a top is perfect for me. You know, it's very simple shaping. It's not meant to be not meant to be shaped in any other way. So what the pattern says here, it's done in fingering weight. 20 stitches and 24 rows equals 10 centimeters. I think in elongated stitch pattern, once it's blocked, it's on a 3.25 millimeter or 3 US needle. Yardages range from 720 to 2160 yards, or 658 to 1975 meters. There are 9 sizes available in the pattern, and it's meant to be worn with 10 inches of positive ease. Name for a popular resort on Isle of Palms in Charleston, South Carolina. Wild Dunes is an elevated thigh-length tunic or casual tee that pairs just as well over breezy linen pants for a beachside brunch, or over a swimsuit for those bright beach days. It's knit from the top down, starting at the shoulders. Stitches are increased to create the V and the crew neck. Once the armhole depth has been worked, the pieces are joined for working in the round, and A-line shaping is added to relax the fit. Once the desired length is reached, the front and back are separated to work the deep side slits. The piece is finished with an applied I-cord around the armholes, neck opening, and side slits. So this, there are only 3 projects because of course it just came out. They're only showing the one project. This particular Lindy chain by Knit Picks is a fingering weight 70% linen, linen flax, 30% cotton, and it comes in balls of 50 grams or 165 meters. So this is something that's certainly on my radar. I love this kind of fit. I love this loose kind of relax that you can wear over jeans or over your yoga pants or something like that. So that's certainly going to be at the high end of my knit list, or my wish list, if you will. I probably won't buy the yarn from Knit Picks just because it's a US company. I mean, I have bought from Knit Picks before, and it does very easily get shipped to Canada. I've never gotten stuck with duty or anything like that. But, you know, as I've mentioned a number of times, I really, really like to support my local yarn shop, which is Natural Ewe Yarns, or Canadian yarn dyers, things like that. So, you know, I really am trying to source that kind of, those kinds of people out instead of supporting companies in the US. There's nothing wrong with supporting companies in the US. It's just, I want to keep it Canadian as much as I possibly can. So that's kind of what's next for me. And then I want to talk to you about a few of my faves. So you will remember that last podcast, I talked to you about Denise Lynch, who is a local potter here in the North Shore of Nova Scotia, and how much I loved her work. Well, I was very, very fortunate to make it to the local art gallery here in Pictou and purchase my mug. So this is my new Denise Lynch tea mug. It fits just perfectly. It's just, perfect for my tea. Do you ever notice, maybe this is crazy, do you ever notice that when you drink your coffee or your tea or whatever out of your favorite mug, it just is better? It's almost, you know, having this mug is almost allowing me to create a ritual out of, you know, making a cup of tea. It's my special mug. I'm drinking a good cup of tea. It's mine. Nobody else uses it. I wash it separately. I put it aside. You know, it just gives you that, I love this feeling, right? Do you have a favorite mug that you use? Let me know. Let me know. So you can find all of Denise's beautiful work on her website, martinceramic.ca. That's Denise right there. martinceramic.ca. She's, you know, shows you some of her beautiful work, and you can see where you can find it. For instance, I purchased mine at the River Gallery, which is the first one right here, which is just down the road from me. So that's kind of great. Yeah. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up, which I should have brought up a couple episodes ago, I think, when I talked about the project bags. Bear with me just one sec. Let me just go. You will remember that I talked to you about Yellow Petal Handmade. And they're amazing, amazing project bags. So let me just find the perfect picture. Yeah. Remember these with these beautiful beaded chains, right? Oh, so, so nice. Scissor chains. Let me see if there's a cloth. Like, can you see it hanging on the inside of that project bag? Wow. So those are made by a Nova Scotia maker, Mable and Rose. And I'm just going to bring up their Insta. So Mable and Rose Handmade on Instagram. I will link them down below. Thoughtful handmade creations and custom pieces inspired by beachcombing and upcycling, Halifax, Nova Scotia. I mean, how perfect is that? So here is a super great picture of her beaded scissor chains. Look at that. Isn't that the cutest thing, right? She also does jewelry. So, of course, I had to go to her Etsy shop, which I will link below, because I am a sucker for anything natural made into jewelry. Just a sucker. So I went to her Etsy shop. Oh, did it just close on me? There it is. Yes, it did. Let's go to faves. Sorry about that. I had it up, but it, favorite shops. There we go. Mable and Rose Handmade. So I know I shouldn't have done it, but I went to her Etsy shop, and I saw this and I just about fell out of my chair. Where the heck? There it is there. Oh, come on. Look at that necklace. Isn't that something else? I will link. I'm not going to link to that because I want to buy it. So this is, what has she got here? Inspired by the largely geometric motifs and layering of the Art Deco period, this necklace incorporates natural shell sealed to maintain a slight shine with a hexagonal black Swarovski crystal in a black and brass wire framework. The shell is set horizontally, playing with the natural shape in a less expected way. This pendant is hung on a thin black coated 18-inch cable with a screw closure. Come on. Like, look at that. I mean, that's just, of course, one of her. There's a close-up of it. Ooh, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? People are so talented. But she's got loads and loads of different kinds of jewelry, necklaces, rings, earrings, knitting notions, which is, you know, perhaps what you're most interested in. Scissor key fobs, which is what we were talking about. Oh yeah, look at that. You know, with names on them. Oops, get down here. All different kinds, right? So I will link her Etsy store down below, and also the Instagram page. Oh, that's kind of nice too. I have to stop it. But another beautiful Canadian maker, even better for me, a Nova Scotia maker, who is trying to use what's already available without, you know, without mass producing, but just really putting care and detail into every single piece, right? So be sure to check her out. I mean, I think that we all, you know, should be doing our best to support Canadian makers, right? Because supporting Canadian makers is what it's all about. So I encourage you to check out that store as well. Okay, let me just grab the Oracle deck. I should have had that prepared, but for some reason I forgot it. And we'll do our Knitter's Oracle for today. All right. Give them a shuffle. Oops. Okay, just trying to find a, there we go. All right. They're all shuffled, split the deck. And today we're going to talk about the frog. Isn't he kind of cute? The frog. All right. Frog is a term for when you need to take your disappointing or flawed project and rip it. Like unraveling a hard-won expanse of seed stitch, the frog is a painful card, but a necessary one. The frog speaks of loss itself, death, abandonment, and breakup, a disappointment, and an ending of any kind, as well as the grief that accompanies it. Seeing the frog appear is often a sign that we need to let go of something and initiate a healthy grieving process, even if what we are grieving is only the hours put into a sweater that we know is just not going to fit quite right. The frog. That's an interesting card for me. How many times have you been knitting along, and you notice 5, 10, 15, 20 rows ago, you made some error, and you sit for a while with that error and you think, do I rip it out or do I just keep going? And you decide to just keep going. And you finish the project. And then all you can see is that error. And that causes you to perhaps never wear the garment. You stick it in your closet, or you throw it out, or you send it to the charity shop or something because of that error. And you feel that grief. You do. You feel that disappointment. You feel that grief of having done all that work to no end. What if we looked at the times that we make errors in our knitting or our crocheting or whatever crafting that we're doing, and we make that mistake and we just sit with it for a while and then truly understand what decision we're making. Are you going to keep on keeping on with it and hope that it turns out right? Or are you going to take the road of correcting whatever error you found? Give that some thought. Are you okay with feeling the grief of a project that doesn't turn out the way that you planned? Give that some thought. Let me know what you think about that. Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. So before I let you go, I want you to remember, please, that I am teaching at the Prince Edward Island Fibre Festival in October. So if you happen to be attending the Fibre Fest, I would love to have you come and say hello or sign up for the class. I think there's 15 or 20 spots available for the class, so I'd love to see you there. Let me know if you're coming to PEI, and let's grab coffee. Check out those wonderful makers that I pointed out. Please give them some love. That would be great. I am hoping that you enjoyed the first episode of The Power of Sticks and Strings during the last podcast episode with Dr. Shauna Johnston. I think she brought some pretty valuable insight to the table for us, and her story is a compelling one for sure. Next episode, I'll be including the second episode of The Power of Sticks, or the second segment of The Power of Sticks and Strings. And we'll be talking to Monica about infertility and how she has, how she used her knitting to help her through that, and continues to use her knitting as a service to others. So I look forward to sharing that with you next time around. So friends, that's it for today. I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your day. Get outside in the fresh air if you can, and then sit down and do some knitting. Thanks so much for being here. Take good care. Talk soon.